Thanks so much. You could stay on. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and looking at our stories. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is raising concerns about emerging challenges ahead of the implementation of the VAT reforms announced by government in the 2026 budget. The group expressed worry the new VAT threshold creates a situation where two traders dealing in the same commodity line in the same marketplace are treated differently. They argue traders whose turnover exceeds the new threshold of 750,000 cedis, for example, are required to charge additional 20% VAT, while those below the threshold remain exempt. These and many concerns the association is raising. Let's bring in the former president of GUTA, Joseph Obeng. He joins us via Zoom for a discussion on this. Joseph, thank you so much for making time to join the discussion here on Business Live. What exactly are your concerns with the VAT reforms announced in the 2026 budget?
Good order. The finance minister have done well, I must say. The reduction of the COVID levy is in good stead, and the fact that the straight line levy have been infused into the mainstream VAT rate make it very convenient and simplified and even uniformed for those people who are paying the standard rate. But we have a challenge when it comes to the informal sector players, those of us who are trading in places like Abosokai, Okanshi, Doom, Makola, and what have you. That's where the challenge is. Normally, we have been paying the flat rate of 4%. So now that the rate is being moved to 20%, that is the standard rate, is going to make prices very high at that end. And then also is going to create distortions at the market because of the threshold. The threshold having been moved from 200,000 to 750,000 means that the market is going to be segregated, where people trading in the same commodity lines, in the same vicinity of trading, some are going to be made to pay the VAT and or charge the VAT, whilst the others are not going to charge. Then it's not going to bring the parity that we seek and the fairness that the VAT system or the tax system should bring. You know, the taxes should not be discriminative. When this happens, it means that a trader, your neighbor, will not be charging, and you will be charging 20% on top. I've heard many people saying that taxes, when reforms like this come, it doesn't satisfy everybody. So who should be the victim here? Who should be punished here? There should be fairness. The taxes shouldn't be discriminative at all. And so there's the need to sit down with the finance minister, and we are making every effort to meet with the finance minister, for which we know he will understand our plight, because we trade in the same commodity lines. And we talk about people going back for the input and all that. Even when it comes to the input VAT, at our place of business, most people will have the input, at the same time may not also have the input, because we from the sources that we buy, most of the our distributors do not even issue VAT invoice. So then computation become problem for the input and output, and so it's very difficult that the market should be desegregated. There should be uniformity, and that there shouldn't be any discrimination at all. That's a major problem.
All right. That's fine. But again, do I get the impression that you weren't consulted prior to the drafting of these reforms before the budget was read?
Oh, we met GRA and then a team from the Finance Ministry at the Holiday Inn hotel. And we raised this same issue. Later on, we also met at a Coconut Grove hotel, for which we raised. It's not that we haven't even met. We have met actually, but these concerns that were raised were not taken. when the budget was read. That's very unfortunate, and we believe that this is a simple issue, and that we should understand, because it shouldn't be that in the same marketplace where people trade in the same commodity lines, people will not charge. You see, the threshold translates into only 2,400 Ghana cedis per day sales. So it means that if your day sales is 2,004, then you are exempted from the tax payment, VAT payment. And then if yours is above 2,500, it means that you are going to be made to charge the VAT. And then there's no compulsion on the part of the consuming public to come for the one who is charging the VAT. There's discretion here. The person, you that I'm talking to, will definitely won't go to a shop operator who is charging you 20%. Definitely no. But I know that you're a patriotic citizen, but definitely when it comes to economies of scale, nobody will. So you're going to make some businesses victims of circumstances.
And among other issues like the market segregation you mentioned, it appears AI at the ports is also of great concern to you. I thought you would rather embrace this innovation.
Yeah, it's very important that government adopt measures that will make sure that people do the right things at the port. There's no doubt about that. And that any efficient system that is brought to bear should be accepted by all. The only problem is that the nature of taxes, the high rates of taxes that we pay at the port, and we know we have all talked about this, the numerous taxes that we are made to pay. Government promised that they will rationalize the tax system. So the AI cannot stand alone. The AI as a solution to ensure compliance and all that, it should come along with rationalization of the tax system at the port. It's as simple as that. So that if taxes are, because what is the pull factor for people doing under declaration and all that? It's because they are unable to pay the numerous taxes at the port. So if they are rationalized, and then taxes are rationalized and somebody is doing the wrong thing, then of course you can hold on the person and penalize the person for not doing the right. But for now that we haven't rationalized the tax system, we plead with the government to think through that. And then all that we need is to sit down for taxes to be affordable for all to comply. Yeah, I believe in compliance. And if you ask GRA, I'm the #1 person who is propagating for compliance. And they call me Mr. Parity.
All right.
Because they know that we all have to do the right thing. We have to do the same things and all that, so that there will be fairness in the competition that we have in the market space. So taxes shouldn't be that is then creating problem for competition that is going to harden people for compliance. People are not going to comply if they know that their wares are not going to be sold because of the segregation that I'm talking about.
And it's very good you've mentioned that you will be engaging the Minister of Finance in the coming days on this very subject matter. And we shall be hoping to hear more from the engagement as to, the outcome of that engagement with the Minister of Finance. Thank you so much.
Definitely, the Finance Minister has done marvelously well. The stability that he has ensured that we have is very commendable, and we actually admire the Finance Minister, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. And he has given the assurance that they are going to sustain it. Then what else do we need as traders? So if other things are also done well, then of course the necessary environment that the government is seeking for the business community have become very whole, and then it will be accepted. For the policy rate that have come to 18% is also very welcomed. We are very excited about the development. We commend the Finance Minister as well as the Governor. But the banks, the commercial banks, should follow will bring down the interest rate, and then there should be a compelling mechanism for them to follow suit.
That's fine.
While the policy rate have come down, interest rate is expected to come down as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being president of GUTA. Former president, I should say. He just today really inaugurated the new executive of GUTA. So he's now a former president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin. Thank you so much. Now, let's shift focus to one other story we are also following up for you. With 50 licensed insurers and reinsurers, the market penetration at just 1% in 2024, Ghana's insurance industry remains underdeveloped relative to its potential. And this is according to Deloitte's 2025 Africa Insurance Outlook. However, the professional services firm says the sector has demonstrated resilience and progress in the face of a challenging economic environment. Let's discuss this further. Joining us via phone to do that is Richard Omare. He's an Associate Director Assurance at Deloitte. Thank you so much, Richard, for staying on to speak to us here on Business Live. And I want you to tell us more about the purpose of this report.
Thank you very much, Pius, and greetings to your audience as well, your viewers. So the purpose of the report is to bring to bear what is happening across the continent when it comes to insurance business and insurance activities, to know how insurance is performing elsewhere, wherever you stand. And then that's just the purpose of the outlook.
And what are the key findings of the report?
Yeah, very interesting finding, and I was listening in on the former president of GUTA. Of the Ghana Trade Union said, looking at all that he was discussing, and I think they should also encourage insurance business. They should come into insurance. Now, when you look at some of the findings in the document, you would realize that insurance business has a very, very great potential. That is yet to be tapped. And when you look at the Ghanaian perspective, for example, you would see that insurance penetration is just 1%. What it means is that if you pick 10 people, only one person has an insurance policy, which shouldn't be out of a population of about 30 million plus. When you look at the East African space, it's similar in observations or in practice. What it means is that there's a lot in that space that we need to be looking out for. And when you look at some of the reasons why the landscape is underdeveloped, it's very interesting. And some of them are to the extent that people struggle with insurance policies when it comes to claims. People don't understand the contents of the policies that they have underwritten very well. And so when they go to file for claims, there's a whole back and forth. And so they end up not trusting the system. So the underlying factor is that people don't trust the insurance system. What it does mean is that insurers now needs to come out clear on what actually they are selling and make it transparent to the policyholders, to entice them to buy the business. So those are some of the findings in there, and it's very interesting. Other aspects are that people also have very, very limited knowledge when it comes to insurance. And it's interesting why they have that limited knowledge. It means that a lot of education needs to go on to these people. And the other aspect that I would like to add is that insurers also now need to thrive and find ways of getting people to accept the business, in that they need to understand what the people are looking out for vis-a-vis what they are selling, so that they are not always driven by the profits, but then they understand that this is what people actually need and this is what we are selling to them.
All right. Having said that, recommendations you would proffer to improve penetration?
Pardon?
I'm asking you for some recommendations you would bring to light so that we can improve insurance penetration.
Yeah, so in terms of recommendations, we will look out for education, transparency when it comes to the policies. When your policyholder signs on any contract, you, the insurer, must do well to sit down and then explain what the policies are, so that they know their rights or their responsibilities in there clearly. And if I should test you yourself, if you go back to your insurers, the insurance policies that you have, you may not understand or appreciate what goes into the terms and conditions very well.
Yeah.
And these are made out clear to the policyholders, and they know exactly what they have signed on to. It's easy for them. Then they start to also trust the system. So anytime you go to them, it's easy for them to buy into the business that you are selling. Then the other recommendation that I'll put in there is that the insurers must also understand what the policyholders actually need, as what the customers are actually looking out for, vis-a-vis they sitting in their rooms and designing any product and going to sell to the population. All so right. Those are the few recommendations I'll put out there.
And in a minute, what next after this report?
Yeah, so after this report, we'll continue to monitor progress. There are other things that have come up. There is what we call the new normal, which we have mentioned in the document. There's a whole new system of insurance reporting, which would make sure that the insurance companies are being transparent in their financial reports, etc. So we will continue to monitor what is happening, and then we will let you guys know in the future what we have come up with.
Richard Omari, thank you so much for your time this very moment. Grateful speaking to us. And of course, you can get that story or that report on myjoyonline.com/business. Do visit the portal and read that report. Now, the Bank of Ghana has insisted that banks in the country are capitalized and resilient as it engages them ahead of the recapitalization exercise. The central bank, in its recent economic summary report, added that banks operating in Ghana remain sound, profitable and well-positioned to support the country's economic recovery process. More in this report. Bank of Ghana, the financial soundness indicators, including solvency, profitability, asset quality and efficiency in all point to relative improvement in year-on-year terms. The non-performing loan ratio declined to 19.5% in October 2025 from 22.7% in October 2024. This was driven by a pickup in bank credit and a contraction in the stock of NPLs. However, credit risks remain elevated. Looking ahead, the central bank said the policy actions to recapitalize the few undercapitalized banks and full implementation of the new regulatory guidelines aimed at reducing NPLs would further strengthen the banking industry. Now, the chief executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedwabwaji, is appealing to banks to step up their support for the private sector, insisting that Ghana's economic growth now depends on stronger collaboration between lenders and businesses. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, he said the era of relying on government borrowing is over and banks must focus their efforts on driving real sector growth.
We want to stimulate, of course, that's what I think that they are doing, to stimulate private sector activity and to help change the structure of the economy. Then one of the things they need to do is to look at interest rate. So I'm happy it is trending downwards, but the policy rate at 18% necessary but not sufficient, because the ones that will drive the lending rate are the banks. In fact, there is always a time lag. When the policy rate comes down, the banks sometimes use 2-3 months to be able to adjust. But when the drop is very significant, the adjustment is also very fast. So I expect that this adjustment, 3.5%, in fact, you won't hear policy rate dropping by 3.5% anywhere.
That's huge.
0.5, 1% is even on the higher side.
Yeah.
And the effect of it is very huge. It's because we had a very high policy rate. That is why it's dropping at that level. So we are keenly waiting to see what the commercial banks will do. In fact, the reduction from the 28 to 21.5, we've seen some positive signs. We've seen lending rates trending downwards. You say you won't get 60. I know some banks are doing personal loans of 15%. Yes. But we are looking at loans that they are giving to the businesses. He said they look at your risk profile. In fact, a lower interest rate is even to the benefit of the banks, because any time interest rate is low, the non-performing loan is also low.
And to some other stories, the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Ghana has graduated a fresh batch of 452 HR professionals at its 15th conferral and 19th congregation ceremony held in Accra. Speaking to Joy Business Chief Executive Officer Dr. Francis Eduku said the new group made up of 25 chartered HR practitioners and 427 associate members marks a major milestone as the institute strengthens the regulation of HR practice under Act 1020.
At the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission Hall in Accra, hundreds of newly certified HR practitioners gathered to celebrate their transition into the professional space. Delivering the welcome address, Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Dr. Francis Eduku, reaffirmed the Institute mandate as the only legally recognized body regulating HR practice in Ghana. He said the Institute will strictly enforce Section 18 of Act 1020, which bars unlicensed persons from practicing as HR professionals. Dr. Eduku also highlighted significant growth in the Institute membership.
I think for 2025, our numbers has increased. For the chartered, from 399 to 452, and our associate has also increased to 2,686. So it tells you the number of students we are turning out every year. I think one thing I want every Ghanaian to know going forward is that the HR practice in this country is now regulated by Act 1020. So you cannot practice HR if you are not a member of the Institute. Specifically, when you read Section 18 of the Act, it says a person shall not practice human resource management as a practitioner or provide human resource services.
Guest speaker Dr. Irene Stella Ejenim-Boateng, Vice Chair of the Public Services Commission, emphasized the need for HR practitioners to leverage technology, drive efficiency, and transform public sector service delivery.
But this year, we are the CIHRM, which is the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, is graduating a number of practitioners who have gone through the certification and are now certified HR practitioners. So the theme for today's event is Unlocking HR Excellence, the new HR practitioner. And so as the guest speaker, my thoughts that I shared with them looked at what excellence actually means in HR practice and in organizations. And why is it that we are now talking about unlocking HR excellence?
In brief remarks, President of the Institute, Florence Hatchford, challenged practitioners to model discipline and professionalism, particularly punctuality, describing it as a critical national challenge. The Chartered Institute says it will deepen global partnerships and support HR practitioners with advanced tools and training as Ghana's workplaces continue to evolve.
Let's now go to myjoyonline.com/business for some quick read on that portal. Kofi Nsiapoku of Kina Pharma Group is new president of AGI. UB Clifton celebrates 1 year with affordable housing push ahead of Republic Bank Love FM Habitat Fair, which of course is happening. And also you can get more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. The money nowhere to go. Bidu Abuaji urges banks to channel funds into. Also Mark saying banks must step up. Our economy can only grow through partnership. Do visit myjoyonline.com/business. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Do have a lovely weekend. Stay blessed.